welcome to the live. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Noelle, aka MakeupEsquire, and today we are going to be talking about the best makeup of 2024. I'm gonna actually start by doing my eyebrows. Speaking of best makeup of 2024, I recently discovered the Victoria Beckham Beauty eyebrow pencil, and I definitely do think that this is the best eyebrow pencil that I tried this year. I've not been using this for that long, but so far so good. I can definitely say that it's quickly becoming one of my favorite eyebrow pencils. I will be listing everything I'm using in the description box down below. I don't think I tried an eyebrow pencil this year, says Peach. I guess if it wasn't for this, I haven't tried any other eyebrow pencils off the top of my head that I can recall. Keisha says it's funny how I'm using the baby blade today. I was thinking about that brow pencil and asking myself if I need it. Okay, great. Let's talk about it. I like the packaging. Going along with best makeup, I'm not talking about the Valentino one because it wasn't a discovery this past year, but this one is really probably like my absolute all-time favorite eyebrow pencil, just because it comes with a pencil and a pen and a spoolie all in one, and I do really appreciate that. I love the packaging of the Victoria Beckham Beauty eyebrow pencil. It feels solid, it feels sturdy, there's nothing like shaky going on. It's not too light, it's not too heavy. It feels kind of luxe. It's not too emollient. I don't like my eyebrow pencils to be too emollient. It's also not too dry. It's like the perfect consistency. Another thing that I've been enjoying about it is that it's not too warm, so I'm happy with the color too, since a lot of eyebrow pencils could lean warm on me. I have the shade dark brown, so it does give you like nice hair like strokes. I have found that some pencils, if they're too emollient, they don't really give like the hair like strokes that you want, and then they just kind of like rub away easier too. Hey Yasmin, welcome to the live. How are you, girl? We're talking about best of the year. I'm talking about the baby blade, which was partially inspired by you, Yasmin, because you had told me before I purchased it that you had it and you were enjoying it. So I just did my hair, so it's kind of frizzy and in the way, so I'm just gonna pin it up. I also enjoy the spoolie in the back on the other side of the brow pencil too. It's nice and precise. It feels luxe. It doesn't feel cheap. Oh, it's an empty for you, Yasmin. Glad to hear it. Yeah, Yasmin says she loves this one. Yasmin, how long would you say it took you for it to become an empty? I hope that you didn't find that it ran out for you too soon, because there are some brow pencils that are really good, but they just run out really quickly. I haven't been using this one long enough. I like the shape, the consistency, the color, the packaging. Complaints, it stays on nicely. I usually get up on here with my brows done already, but maybe while people trickle in, I figured I just wanted to get this live up on time. I mean, get started on it, since I put a countdown on for myself today. It's got the same shape as the old Gucci pencil. It took about a year, but I also own others and I don't do my makeup every day. Yes, actually, thank you for bringing that up. It does have the same shape as the old Gucci pencil, which I really like, and I don't know why they took it off the market. They had two different ones and they're completely different in my opinion. One is more like a pencil, like kind of like a kohl. I'm trying to find it here. Yeah, here they are. These are the two Gucci ones. And for some reason this one had a lid like this. I have it in the shade 3 and I wanted it in the shade 4. And when I went back to go pick it up, it was gone. I couldn't find it. So they kept this one, I guess, which is the crayon version. Looks like that. It's almost like a powder in a brow pencil. So if you're looking for that, just like a quick way to fill in your brows, this one by Gucci is good. And this is the one that they kept in their line permanently, but they got rid of this one. And this one's the one that Yasmin was mentioning is the same shape as the Victoria Beckham Beauty one. I definitely think that, and here they are in comparison to each other, that it helped fill the void. I'm going to be kind of turning slightly to my left here because I am filming for YouTube, which I will be uploading later on. I don't know why they got rid of this one, but this one was so good, right? I think I tried this brow pencil last year and it lasted me a good 3 months. Oh, are you talking about the Victoria Beckham one? I started out talking about brows with the Victoria Beckham Beauty. What is it? I didn't even say the name. It's called the Baby Blade. I don't think I tried any other new brow products this year, but this one was good enough for me. Oh, the VB pencil is slanted. I love the Benefit Goof Proof brow pencil, which has a slanted wedge shape that I love. Yeah, it is slanted, Keisha, and I think I know which one you're talking about, the Goof Proof. I have that one as a backup somewhere, but I think it's kind of the same idea as this. This is their brow styler. I don't even know if they still make it, but I think it's the same shape as the Goof Proof. It's just a thicker slant. But yeah, I never heard this one talked about. Some girl at Ulta sold it to me a few years back. It's all right. I just like a little more precision in my brow pencils. Thank y'all for joining me a little bit earlier than usual today. I decided to start the live at 3 instead of 3:30 today, just because I'm always running around, rushing towards the end. And I just wanted to give ourselves ample time. But I'm just going in with the NARS. This is the Soft Matte Complete Concealer in the shade Custard. I just like to carve out underneath my brows just to kind of clean them up a little bit. Yay, Melissa made a live and I'm doing brows. The struggle is real over here. I know, right, girl? If y'all didn't know, it's Melissa Lorraine has a YouTube channel and it's great. I remember you mentioned in your recent video that you have brow blindness and I totally felt that to my core. And so for foundation, for best of the year, I was thinking I have some runner-ups, maybe some honorable mentions, because choosing one in every category is just almost impossible for me. And coming in towards the end of the year, relatively recently, we got this Dior foundation stick. And a lot of you that follow me here recommended this because I picked it up during the Sephora sale, not right when it came out. And I was kind of going back and forth as to whether or not I needed it, but I am so glad that I picked it up. I have the shade 3 Neutral. It's good as long as you don't mind the fragrance, because it is fragranced. I do think that it will help us get over the fact that Tom Ford is discontinuing their foundation sticks. And then I also wanted to do a couple of honorable mentions for the year. I do tend to lean more combo to oily. This year, I do believe that the Prada foundation came out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that this was a 2024 release, perhaps back in spring. I was thinking the Tom Ford Architecture Foundation. I think that Tom Ford one did come out this year, and that's a great one. I really have been enjoying that Tom Ford one. The Tom Ford foundation stick is being reformulated, and the new reformulation is gonna suck. Ooh, I want to know why you say that, Peach. I'm curious. Actually, it's right here. Happens to still be in the box. I have it in the shade 7 Tawny. It's a good one, and I do believe that this one did come out this year. Between these 3 foundations, it's kind of hard for me to choose. I have them in different shades, just kind of depending what my skin tone is. I have used the Dior stick foundation before, so maybe we can just use the Tom Ford one. Tom Ford has been on sale everywhere. You might be able to snag it at a Net-a-Porter sale. Okay, cool. I also have the shade Sable, I think, which is the one up. It leans really neutral though, almost on the gray side. So it's normally a little dark for me. That's usually my shade in the summer when I'm really dark. If I have a tan on, I'll stick to the perimeters of my face with that as well. So I just put a little bit of the Tom Ford Architecture Soft Matte Foundation on. And I'm also going to be talking about the best brushes of the year as well. For foundation brushes, I have to, obviously, it's pretty much a no-brainer. This Bobo and Bisotto collaboration brush was just exquisite, and it came out this year. It's easily the best foundation brush this year. Yes, Yasmin, I'm so glad you agree with me. Y'all never have to agree with me on here. Love hearing differing opinions from everybody. It's just such an exquisite brush, and the Kolinsky hair is so high quality. The bundling is so lovely. Yeah, Mr. Bisotto himself, who is now in his 80s, hand bundled each and every one of these. Before I do the other side of my face, you can kind of see the difference in the finish for that Tom Ford foundation. I am biased and lean more towards matte foundations, but it's a nice soft matte. It's not too mattifying. For me, it's just easier to add glow than it is to take it away. That's why I tend to lean more towards mattifying foundations. And let's hope that I can keep my sweater white, shall we? And not get anything on there. So I take little My Kit Co palette and I like to saturate the brush with it and then tap it on. How is everyone this Sunday? We're talking about best of 2024 and I'm using the Tom Ford Architecture Soft Matte Foundation, which is definitely in my top faves that were released this year, followed by the Prada foundation and then the Dior Stick Foundation. If we're talking about foundations that just came out exclusively in 2024. But what I was saying is, if y'all ever see me like you know, do that satisfying drip on my face in shorts and in reels. I do it because I was told that they're catchy in the initial like few seconds of the video or something like that. But I'm pretty much always using my little MyKit Co palette or dabbing it on my face, not usually applying it that way. Do you layer them or apply them at the same time? Oh, the two foundations. Right now, I'm only using the Tom Ford just because I couldn't decide. I think I've already used the Dior foundation stick, and so I'm just trying to switch it up, and I don't think I've showcased this one on a live yet. I do oftentimes like to mix and match my foundations just for funsies, and the way I do it is I do put them both on here and just kind of like mix them up with my finger and then saturate my brush the way that I just did. And more often than not, what I've been finding myself doing is going in and mixing in like a foundation like this with some type of glowy primer, like the Victoria Beckham Beauty one that I used in last week's live, or for instance that Dior Forever Glow Maximizer, I think it's called. They're like version of the Charlotte Tilbury one, but I do specifically concentrate that like on the outer portion, outer perimeter of the face if I'm going to be doing that, just because like I said, I'm an oily girly, so I try to not put glowy products on the interior portion of my face. I will say this foundation does oxidize. Look at that. You can tell that it's a little bit lighter when I just apply it, and then it kind of gets a little darker as it dries down. So just be aware of that. That's not always the most ideal. You mix too, Yasmin? Glad to hear it. I do like mixing my cream stick foundations with my liquid foundations too to make them more emollient. I did that once on a YouTube video, and I got a comment from someone being like, oh, I never thought about mixing a cream foundation with a liquid foundation. Depending on kind of like what your particular needs are, your preferences, how your skin is during that season, if you like the finish or the color, the shade of a particular foundation, and maybe it's not your perfect shade or something like that, and you kind of want to customize it, that's where it just kind of gets fun. Or if it's a little too mattifying for your skin and you want to add a little bit of glow, instead of layering it, just mixing them together is another technique. I heard somebody say like makeup's not surgery. Brings me back to my childhood when playing with paints and stuff like that. Fun to feel like a gourmet chef with foundation. Exactly, totally. I think we can kind of all relate to that. And then best of concealers, y'all probably, I don't know if y'all are gonna guess, but it's gonna have to be the Westman Atelier concealer. You know which other concealer I also really liked that I could just use instead? Since that Westman Atelier one right now wants to play games, I can't find it. I used the Westman Atelier concealer in my last live, which is why I'm not really tripping about using it again in this one. But I would probably say that out of the new concealers that came out, that one's number one. I also tried the Suku concealer this year. Sunsuray on here, she also is a big fan of the Westman Atelier concealer. It's driving me nuts that I can't find it because I literally just used it. But I tried the Suku foundation for the first time this year, so this is new to me. I don't know that it was released this year though. So I'm going to be using the Suku one in lieu of the Westman Atelier. I'm sure right after this live I'm going to find it. Let's talk concealer brushes and best of the year for concealer brushes. The reason I'm not going to say that it's this Kolinsky one is because this one was not released this year, I don't believe. But that one is a great concealer brush, and I mostly have been using it for highlighter. And this one by BK Beauty and Nikki LaRose is also a really great one. I used a lot this year for concealer. I like the shape of it because when I'm in a rush, it just helps get the product on, just like slapping it on the face. As far as Fude goes, I've really been enjoying this Bobo Bisciotto Kolinsky shape brush. It's just very unique for Kolinsky. There isn't many on the market that are like this. You can use this for concealer or for like a one and done eyeshadow look. I even got a backup of it before the price increase, which says a lot because I'm typically not one to purchase backups. I've been really enjoying this Nikki LaRose one because I not only have been using it to set my concealer like this real fast, but I also like it for pinpoint targeted powder. So it's a good one for that. For cream contour, I'm gonna have to give the Dior one. It's gonna take the cake for the best of 2024 because it's nice and emollient. It has a nice cool undertone. which we like in contours. It's easy to blend. It's a luxe formula. No complaints really about this Dior one other than the fact that it is fragranced. I also really like the Cream Contour by Tom Ford, the Shade and Illuminate one though, as kind of like an all-time favorite. Obviously that's not new this year, so I won't be talking about that one. Oh yeah, that's right. Sephora collection came out with some nice contours. I don't know if they came out this year or not, but they are nice and cool tone. They have a powder version and a cream version. I had also been hearing great things about those, and I do believe that they're made in Italy, which is, I think, another reason why that formula is raved about. Shall we talk about blush? This year, Chanel surprised us, right? And came out with cream blushes. I was thinking that that's probably going to take the cake for me for best cream blush of 2024. Curious to know y'all's thoughts on that if you picked either of these up. I purchased 2 shades, Rouge Franc and Rose Ardente. So this one's Rouge Franc and this one's Rose Ardente. They are fragranced though, so if you do not like fragrance, then I don't recommend them. As far as setting powder goes, this year was the year that Givenchy got rid of what used to be a lot of our favorite setting powders for many of us who loved the coveted Givenchy setting powder. So taking its place probably will have to be the Makeup by Mario one. I didn't have super high hopes for it. I don't know if it's just me, but do y'all feel like talc helps mattify a little bit more than talc-free powders? I used to kind of think that when Laura Mercier took out their talc in theirs, and I just didn't like the newly reformulated one as much. I didn't think that it was like as blurring as the original, but this Makeup by Mario kind of changed my mind about that. It's blurring and I do feel like it is mattifying. Is it my absolute favorite loose setting powder of all time? Probably not, you know? I still like the Huda Beauty one, so I kind of compare everything up against the Huda Beauty setting powder as far as like blurring and mattifying. But as far as releases this year, I don't really have anything bad to say about the Makeup by Mario one. I don't think it's as good as the Givenchy one. It's a little thicker, it's a little creamier. Mine, I will say, have been getting like a little bit gunky, so I don't know if that's just like user error, because I don't think that happens to everybody. Maybe it's just because like I go in with a not so clean brush, but it's something I can get past. I really like the colors that they came out with. So let's see, I should apply. Yeah, like this Rouge Franc one is just really lovely. Let's see, for cream blush, I don't think this brush came out in 2024, like for the first time it was released, but this Kolinsky, the pom-pom round head shaped brush, was new to me this year, and I've really been enjoying it. For me, this is going to be probably taking the cake for the best brush for cream blush this year. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this Kolinsky's like aged and it's just so soft. It works well with powders and cream formulas alike. Peach says, if y'all liked the Givenchy, the House Labs is a great alternative. So is the Huda one. Yeah, the Huda, of course. I have not tried the House Labs loose powder, but I have heard good things about it actually. The Givenchy one will be missed and I will be making my own. I saw a reel the other day and they took this sticker off, and then underneath this sticker there's like little holes for each of the 4 compartments, and they just took like the additional little plastic sticky thing and then poured in their own powders into each of these 4 compartments, and they used different color powders that they had in their collection to kind of just customize it, which I thought was kind of cool, but I don't really know if I'm about to go in and do all that myself, you know? I've definitely just been trying to preserve that powder as best I can, even though I do have a few of them. As far as powder blushes go, I didn't have any that stood out to me off the top of my head that I would completely rave about that were released this year in particular, but I think out of everything, I will say the Gucci limited edition, the seasonal one, Intense Ruby, and I don't know if it's just like, you know, top of my head just because it recently came out, but yes, a lot of it has has to do with the packaging. I'm not going to say that the formula is absolutely groundbreaking or you have to like run and go buy it, but look at how adorable that is. Isn't that just so cute? And I just loved the fun spin that Gucci did for holiday. And if y'all know, like, this is the original one, and for holiday they just kind of made it red, and it's just fun. It's so cute. They remind me of little macaroons. As far as a blush brush goes for best of, I think Rephr is going to take the cake. I've been using the heck out of this since I purchased it, since it was released. Partially it's because of the handle. Look at how beautiful. I'm just a sucker for the Japanese maple leaves that wrap around the brush so beautifully. I love the airiness. I love the 3D shape. I love the fact that they used a mix of hairs. I like that it was such a unique release for Rephr. They haven't released any other brushes like this where they used goat hair and squirrel hair in one brush. I like that it's nice and airy. And so I've just been finding myself reaching for this brush a lot, both for powder bronzer and for powder blush. I love the 3D shape, how it just perfectly hugs the cheek like this. I have a lot of more dense powder brushes, but I love the airiness. It doesn't disrupt the products that you have on underneath. It applies the powder well, evenly, and in a lovely kind of diffused manner. And it's just such a joy to use. It's beautiful to look at. The hairs are high quality. The price was right. So I think that Rephr is gonna have to take the cake on that. I just added a couple of the Chanel blushes to my cart, so I'm very curious what you think of them. Fude is like a lady. Thank you so much, especially if y'all use my links. I'm gonna link the products that I talked about on my LTK later today, so if you go through my links, I really appreciate it. It really helps my channel out. You've been looking at that brush, says Sunsere. The 3D cheek from Bobo. Yes, I really enjoy that 3D cheek brush from Fude Bobo that you've been showcasing so well on your channel lately. I don't think it was a release this year, which is the only reason why I didn't mention it. But yes, it does remind me of that one, except this one is a little bit larger and fluffier and airier. Okay, so speaking of powder bronzers, I think that the one that stands out to me this year is the one from Chantecaille. They came out with the Sunstone collection this year, and it's just like a slightly less warm shade than the one that they already had available. And I am a big fan of Chantecaille products. I love their Baked Gelée formulas. Like this cream bronzer is a Baked Gelée, and it just goes on so smoothly on the skin and so nicely. And I spoke about this in my last live, but I like more neutral leaning powder bronzers, which are kind of hard to find. They're far and few between on the market. Most of them run really warm, so this one was a nice treat this year. The packaging is okay. Packaging on Chantecaille is very hit or miss. Sometimes we love it, sometimes it's basic. This one is better than their original bronzer packaging, which is like pretty basic, and I am not a fan of this like Valentino red shade, but other people might like it. This is kind of their standard one. This is in the shade Goa. This is kind of how their compacts are. They're definitely not the most luxurious. I think that they could use some improvement, like at least like have a magnetic closure or something for, you know, the cost and for being like a high-end luxury product. But this Sunstone collection was kind of like a nice fun take. That color's pretty cool, I will say. It has a little mirror in there. You love the red packaging, says Sylvia. I'm just not a red person, honestly. And I'm starting to try to get more into red nails because I do think that red is just classic and there's something sexy about it, especially like in clothing. I just have never been one to love it, but I like how it kind of like stands out in pictures and stuff like that. So I've been trying to get more into it. Same with like bright red lippies. Speaking of Chantecaille, I know if y'all saw my stories recently, I talked about how they sent me a PR package for the first time. I have the box here because I was thinking we could unbox it together on this live. I haven't even cracked it open yet, but I also kind of wanted to stick to the theme in a way too, being like the best of 2024. So depending on how we're doing on time, maybe towards the end, I can show you guys what I got in that box. That's another reason why I wanted to start a half an hour sooner than usual today. I also recently heard the Lipstick Lesbians talk about about how your eye processes the shade red a completely different way than it does other colors. Something about like the depth or something like that. You would like to see what's in the box, Keisha? Yeah, me too. I'm so excited. I have really been getting into like red cheeks lately, as you can tell by the theme that we have going on the cheeks here today with the Gucci blush and the Chanel blush. Red lipsticks are great, so are red blushes. Yeah, and I need to use red lipstick more. Sometimes I just feel like it's a lot, but I was thinking even today I could do a red lippy if I have that Westman Atelier. I don't know if y'all saw that unboxing on my Instagram stories recently, which also reminds me, I haven't even gotten into this box yet. I picked up a couple of shades in the Sarah Creel concealer and could have totally used that today, but I wanted to stick with the theme. I did find one product in here that will be one of the best, which is the Tom Ford lip liner. For lips, I figured I can crack into this gift set here that I got from Sephora. It has the 3 shades in the Westman Atelier lipsticks, and there's a lovely red shade here, and it's different than the other red shade that I used in my previous Get Ready With Me live. I figured maybe we can use that. I don't know if these were released. Were these released in 2024? They may have been. If so, I definitely think that they are contestants for best lipsticks of 2024. Red nails are great in the US depending on where I go in Canada. They may be considered a sign you're in a gang or a mob, so they're staying in the US for me. Interesting, Peach. Thanks for sharing that. I would have no idea that somebody like me could give off that vibe in Canada. There are so many variations on red. You could even do a sheer formula if you feel like it's too much for you. Exactly. Keisha, thank you for bringing that up. I think it might be Dior that has a lipstick that is like or even like Prada. Oh, how could I forget Prada lipsticks? Those I think were released this past year, and those are really great. And they have 2 versions. They have the matte and then like the soft matte, and those are really great. They came out in lovely shades as well. So I have to shout out those Prada lipsticks. I'm gonna be trying to get out of my comfort zone a little bit more this upcoming year. Let's see if I can do it. I'm gonna start to try to use brighter shades of lippies because I always just tend to go to my go-to nudes. I just get so many compliments when I do like a brighter lip, and it looks great in pictures. It's elegant. I feel like I can get away with doing less on the eyes. I'm always just questioning myself about whether I'm doing too much because I have to appear in court every day. I've seen other attorneys, even that aren't into like their makeup everywhere else, do like a brighter lip, and it looks great. So I won't be the only one in that regard. Oh, I was going into my Natasha Denona powder contour is of course the tried and true, and I can't think of any other contour powders off the top of my head that I tried this past year. So I'm just gonna be sticking with this contour powder here. I'm trying to get better at my nose contour and not be so lazy with it, because whenever I like actually take more time to do it, it just looks better than when I just like slap it on. And I was watching a Michelle Wong video. She just came out, and I think she partially inspired this video for me as well. She just came out with her best makeup of the year video on YouTube. She's so elegant. I just love her style. She's such a classy woman, and she inspires a lot of my beauty purchases. She was saying, maybe like the CEO of Sarah or something like that, she was saying, had quoted, a bad contour is like a bad toupee, and that like it's so obvious, and I could not agree more. So shout out to Keisha again for telling me to blend out my jawline contour. Yeah, especially on the nose, right? Like, I don't know about y'all, but I've had so many days at work when I do my makeup in a rush and like maybe not the best lighting, and then I get to work, and after I've had contact with people, like looked in the mirror in the bathroom and been like, OMG, I forgot to like fully blend or whatever. Just is what it is. As far as a compact powder that I tried this year that also came out this year, I want to shout out the Prada Beauty one. I'm not gonna say it's like, you know, run to go get it, like it's groundbreaking, but it stands out as a powder compact. I love the packaging. I love the gold and silver, and I love how elegant it feels. Prada's been killing it lately in the makeup game. I love the beautiful mint green that they have been trying to be consistent with across their makeup products. Just like their primer. I didn't talk about primers, but I will say out of probably just the ones that were released this past year, I'd probably probably give it to Prada as well for their primer. I like the fact that it seems to be refillable. In that sense, I like the fact that Prada has been trying to make their packaging more sustainable and stuff like that, just like their lipsticks are refillable. And you know, you can probably get away with making more elegant compacts and packaging when they're refillable, like that beautiful Lisa Eldridge lipstick that is totally completely recyclable and is like fully made of metal. Sensory on here beautifully showcased hers in her live. I really want to get my hands on that. It looks lovely. It looks so beautiful. It's like a keepsake you can have forever. I've been liking this Prada Powder Compact, and it's just the one I've been grabbing and reaching for. Even though it looks green in the powder, it doesn't actually show up like that on the skin, but it's just so beautiful. Imagine pulling this out in public. Other than the fact that yes, you see fingerprints on there, and like I'm not gonna bother to be cleaning it off every time other than that. And then as far as highlighter goes, so I tried a number of different highlighters this year, and I thought about maybe the Hindash one, but I wouldn't say that this was something that blew me out of the water. It's good. It's not a product that I decided to return. This Gucci one was also in the running just because it is unique. Like this Hindash one is beautiful. It's a baked gelée powder highlighter, which tends to lay beautifully on the skin and be very flattering, and it is all those things, just like Hourglass. Chantecaille has a beautiful baked gelée powder highlighter as well that I love. But this Gucci one, I was impressed by the formula of it. It's kind of creamy. It's like a cream to powder, which I do really appreciate. I do think that they can expand their shade range since they didn't come out with very many shades. I enjoy the packaging. I've been more impressed by Gucci packaging. They've set the standard so high by just blowing it out of the water with their bronzer packaging. I just love their bronzer packaging. Probably my favorite packaging when it comes to bronzers. This YSL packaging is beautiful as well. It's a little bit bulky though. But I also thought about this one by Dior. The only catch with this Dior one is that it's limited edition, I believe, for the holidays. It's just gorgeous. Just look at that packaging. Isn't that just beautiful? I'm a sucker for red. The lighting was sponsored by Jesus. Yeah, I am getting ready for church. For all y'all that are new here, these Sunday lives are when I'm getting ready for church. I think this Dior highlighter is gonna take the cake for the best of 2024. I'm just gonna swatch it here for y'all so you can see the shade by itself, hopefully. I don't know if it's showing up on camera. Hopefully it is. It is like a complete classic, isn't it? It's just so pretty. It's elegant. It's beautiful. It doesn't emphasize wrinkles. It's that lovely baked gelée that we love. The shade is great. It's just such a joy to use. Dior really brought it with this packaging. Very impressed. And I did try the Chanel Holiday highlighter in that big compact. And I was telling Sun about that. She was eyeing it. I ended up returning it just because like I did not think that I was going to get enough use out of it for how large that compact was, first of all. And second of all, there was such an intense overspray on that highlighter that I was hoping would go away. I was kind of like using the same spot on that compact in hopes that I could get through that overspray. I just could not isolate just the highlighter. Like the overspray is so intense. So I just like, I couldn't do it. It is like a nice shifty duochrome peachy gold. I don't think well translated in photos or swatches and videos of that highlighter. So if you can get past that really heavy overspray and you really think you're gonna like use it enough, I would say go for it because it is beautiful to look at, but it just isn't practical in my opinion. So I told myself I did not need it, especially with all these other new highlighter releases that I've been enjoying lately. It was just getting neglected. So hopefully that took some FOMO away from any of y'all that were eyeing that. Sun showed me how the new upcoming Chanel spring collection has a highlighter kind of like a quad, like a face quad, which if y'all want to hold off and wait on that one, I wasn't aware. So thank you, Sun, for bringing that one to my attention. Make sure that this is all nice and blended in here. Now, drum roll, please. I was kind of trying to save the best for last, which is eyes for best of. And it's probably also going to be the hardest category. I do want to give an honorable mention and a shout out to the Hourglass face palettes. As you can see, I'm procrastinating talking about the eyes because it's just so hard to choose. But these came out this year, and you know how I feel about Hourglass. I love so many of their products, and their face powders are just very unique in my opinion. I've gone on about this before many times. I ended up getting 2 of the face palettes, even though I hate this evil eye packaging. I still picked it up, so that's how you know, even though I'm like big on packaging. No regrets. They're just gorgeous, beautiful. Did I need them? No. I probably have like a dozen Hourglass face compacts now that I'll probably never get through, but love them. So I just wanted to shout that out. YSL. Ooh, son. Eyes go to YSL. Look what I have right here. These quads were released, I think, for the first time last year in 2023. Correct me if I'm mistaken. But in this year, they came out with new color stories. And I think I'm going to give it to the color story in the shade 710. This color story is just so beautiful, right? Like when I made a reel on using this color story in this quad, like there's so many people that commented being like, oh my gosh, I need that quad now. It's just so practical. The packaging, I've gone on about how I love this packaging. It's like having a little clutch in eyeshadow quad. The formulas also don't disappoint. It's not just about the packaging. I love these formulas. They're so creamy and just such a pleasure to use. The experience all around is such a joy. They're elegant, they're classy, they're easy to slap on. The colors are pigmented and creamy. They're not too powdery. Honorable mention, and it's new, and I do believe it's limited edition also, is the Chantecaille Cheetah Eye Trio. I knew that this was probably going to be a favorite as soon as I saw it released, and I was so proud of myself and held out until I was able to pick it up 25% off during the sale. Look at how adorable, y'all, this packaging. And I love how Chantecaille, they give to charity and help save the wildlife and the animals, and they beautifully portray that in their packaging. They're so elegant. I will say, is it arguably overpriced? Potentially. I think this is going for a whopping $78 USD, which for 3 eyeshadows is a lot. For instance, Tom Ford's quads go for what, 90, 95? I think they just upped their prices. So it's definitely luxury beauty, especially you can argue that these 2 shades are really basic too. This sparkly one really is the star of the show when it comes to this trio. It's so beautiful. It's gorgeous. This is just like a really perfect on the go. The shades are beautiful. I also picked up the duo. If y'all saw in my unboxing, I didn't get a chance to swatch this. And I actually haven't used the duo yet either. I think they kind of all were released around the same time. I've been loving just the simplification of eyeshadow palettes. I'm not going to realistically on an everyday basis grab for one of these huge ones. It's kind of overwhelming for me. I'd rather just kind of stick to a single one and done, a duo, a trio, or a quad lately. So if you are just looking for something to kind of up your game when it comes to makeup and dip into the luxury beauty space when it comes to Chantecaille, their formulas are just really elegant. This packaging is really beautiful as well. Look at how gorgeous that is. Remember I said how Chantecaille was kind of like a hit or miss. Some of their packaging is really basic and some really doesn't disappoint, especially like their limited edition seasonal like holiday collections. So I haven't used this duo, but I'm sure that this duo will be gorgeous. Let's just showcase this Chantecaille trio then, because I have not actually showcased it yet on my channel. In line with the best eyeshadow brushes of 2024 in this live, I've been enjoying the newer Rephr Shoto collection that have the wispier tips on their brushes. Those have been really lovely and a nice treat and different than what we're used to seeing. So I have really enjoyed these by Rephr. They came out around the same time as the Maple brush, if I'm not mistaken. Also, a little bit after the Bobo Bisotto collab of these chunkier Kolinsky brushes. So I could have chosen either of these 2, honestly, but I chose the round head because it's a little bit more unique, I think, on the market than what we have. But in general, it's hard to find thick Kolinsky brushes, especially this size. These could be used as eyeshadow brushes as well as face brushes. And then shortly after those released, but we'll release this shaped one. It's like a nice wispy like blending brush that I totally could have also used. I could also put in the best of category because it's also rare to find Kolinsky brushes that are this shape as well. And I also like the fact that this one can be used for liquids and creams alike, for eyes or for the face. I like this shape for blending out concealer, spot concealing, or as eyeshadow. I will give a special shout out to this Sonia G, the T6, because I just love the shape. Look at how unique it is. I see Sun using this one all the time for her nose contour. I don't tend to use it for nose contour, but it's certainly the perfect shape for that. You could even use it for a subtle contour on the cheek with either like a creamy formula or a powder formula, since they are goat bristles. I tend to stick to using this with powder formulas. I don't know why. In my head, maybe it'll help preserve that dye, the Kashi Buzomi persimmon dyed bristles. I think that you could use these with creams. I do really like this one. She previously released one in a squirrel hair version, which I think is a little bit more unique because those hairs are more exquisite, but it's the same shape. And this one is actually more dynamic and practical because they're goat bristles. So they're just less delicate than the squirrel bristles. But this one was released in 2024. So I will give a shout out to this one and just the whole series. Honestly, this is just one of the whole series, but the face brushes in this series and the other eye brushes are all very impressive. I love the handles, just great. Sonia G came for our wallets, speaking of, again this year, and came out with these beautiful Japanese garden inspired brushes, which I do think is probably going to take the cake for another best of release of the year. The hairs are very unique. I know that people were complaining about the brush shapes and were a little bit disappointed that they weren't more unique, but I don't mind them. I find them all to be very practical in shape, and I do tend to lean more towards smaller shaped brushes for the eyes, just because I don't have like as much lid space, I feel, and I have like a partially hooded eye as well. So I'm not complaining about these shapes, but these handles are just stunning. Just some of the most beautiful brushes I've ever seen, especially just even among Sonia G's releases. Just so beautiful. So these are the three in that collection. I find all the shapes very useful. I love the fact that she released them in this very unique hair mix. I want to say it's White Canadian Squirrel and Psycho Goat. Please correct me if I'm mistaken. But then I also want to shout out, this is why this is so hard for me. Recently, she surprised us, at least I was surprised, and she came out with her original squirrel set again. I never thought I would see the day. But I was so happy when she re-released these because I wasn't able to get the original trio since it was right before I really got into Fude and before I even like learned about Sonia G. I've particularly been enjoying this larger blending brush. I did showcase it in my last live when I did the Pantone 2025 Color of the Year look, and I used a single Chanel and Dior shadow and I just used it to blend out the edges. But I mean, just look at those bristles, y'all. Like, look at the squirrel hair and how it moves. Look at those. It's like the bristles, I say they like dance across the eyelid. No pulling, no tugging. You see that movement? Very happy that Sonia brought these back for us. Why don't we go ahead and use these brushes then? I'm going to start out by going in with this neutral shade here, setting it up as a base all over the eyelids. Then I'm going to use the same brush and go into the middle shade here, and I'm going to throw that into my crease. It's just like the perfect crease shape. This one just came in the mail yesterday and I got it secondhand off of like Poshmark, which is the discontinued Wayne Goss 3. I have the number 4, which is a little bit smaller than this one. I'm hoping this one is real because, you know, you never know nowadays. Because it's secondhand, it could be from China, but it looks real. And the seller was selling other fude, so I'm hopeful that this is like legit. I haven't washed it yet. It smells clean and it looks clean and it looks like it's nice and washed, but I just want to wash it before using it on my eyes. I'm just going to do a super quick eyeshadow look here because I still want to do that red lippy, but I just wanted to showcase this trio. This is where I like to take like the more flat shaped Sonia G brush and dip into that shade there. And I'm sure if I had a base on my eyelids, this would probably apply better. Just know I don't have a base on, so there's nothing for it to like grip on. But I feel like you shouldn't need to when you spend $78 on 3 eyeshadows, right? Y'all feel me? I'm hoping you're seeing how beautiful this shade is though. Y'all see that? I could even just slap this on with my finger. Patrick Ta Who, right? Like those duos that were breaking the internet recently. It's almost creamy. You can kind of see that formula. It's not dusty. It's not powdery. It's not picking up that sparkle. It's like I don't have those Patrick Ta duos, so I can't compare them. But to me, this is an elevated version because I did hear that there's a lot of fallout on those Patrick Ta ones and they're really dusty. And I'm not getting that with this one. Look at that. I mean, the formula is just so elegant. Can y'all see? Look at how that shines in the light. It's just something about the glimmers on these eyeshadows. It's super elegant. It's hard to describe, but it's not your basic shimmer shade. And because I use more matte eyeshadows, like I don't mind these 3 colors that they put in here. I think that the 2 matte shades are practical. And if you want to just do a more simple look with the shimmer and one of these, you can, or not even use the shimmer and just use the mattes, totally can do that as well. It's just the perfect cool tone. It goes with like any lippy too. As far as eyeliners go, I know the Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liners did not come out this year, but I think she did release new shades this year. So I'm still gonna give it up to Victoria Beckham Beauty Satin Kajal liners. I did pick up more shades recently. Those are just tried and true and hard to beat. So for today's look, I'm just gonna go with the true black. Hopefully I won't smudge it like I did last time, even though I just did right there as I'm saying, hopefully I don't smudge it. But that's all right. I'll just kind of smudge it out. Yeah, I gotta go meet the Lord, y'all. About to run out this door. I wasn't even trying to do that intense of an eye because I wanted to do more of an intense lippy if we have time. Let me just swatch these real quick for y'all. These lipsticks. This one is in the shade Dash. Look at that. One swipe and that was the pigment. That's beautiful, isn't it? Okay, and then this next one in the green packaging is in the shade Fluffy. I was really excited for this one because this one's a new shade that they did not previously have in the initial releases. After the initial releases, I was hoping that she would expand her shades in these. And this one is Je Rêve. I think it's in French, so my bad for slaughtering that pronunciation. Beautiful, isn't that? So pretty. I wanted to do the red today, but now that we have like a more intense eye look, I don't know. Trying to leaning more towards a more neutral one. For mascaras, I tried the Thrive one for the first time this year. I know it's not new in the market though. I didn't really have any new mascaras that I tried this year that blew me out of the water. I like the YSL one, but I don't think that that was a release this year. I think I tried it this year and I was really impressed by it, but I try not to have too many mascaras open at one time, so I'm just trying to get through the ones that I have open right now. I like this Thrive one because it's a tubing mascara and it does not transfer. As far as lip liners go, Tom Ford came out with lip liners this year and they're gonna have to take the cake because other than their shade range that's lacking, these are really good and they really impressed. And luxury lip liners are something that can be a hit or miss. Like, I'm not impressed by the Chanel ones. I do like the reformulation of the Dior ones though. I have been liking those. I picked up the shade 303 Grige Attitude this year, so if this was a release this year, this is also in the running for best lip liners. I love trying new lip liners. I picked up the shade Grige in Max Lip Liner and I think this is a new shade, so this is also definitely a favorite. These Tom Ford ones are kind of pricey, arguably overpriced, which is the downside. Because of that, will I be repurchasing? I don't know. I tried 2 other shades and I just wasn't impressed, so I returned them. This is the shade that I had wanted the whole time during the Sephora VIB sale, but it was sold out. It's in the shade Irresistible. So I had to wait until their sale have it all, just because I really didn't want to pay full price for them. I like it though, and they really stay put. They're nice and creamy, but when they set, they set. I wanted to do a bright red lippy today, but because of what I have going on the eyes, I think this one might be the one. What y'all think? Jarabet. I don't know how to say it. For lip primers, let me just put a lip primer on. This Sarah Creel one I tried this year, and I also think it came out this year. I think Sarah Creel is a new brand to Sephora that, if I'm not mistaken, released in Sephora this year. If I remember, I've been liking putting on that lip primer underneath my lip products because it helps fill in the lines and make your lippies last longer. I'm gonna have to use that red lippy later. I don't know why, I just don't like doing a red lip when I'm in a rush. I feel like I'm gonna mess it up. Y'all, my allergies are so bad. I literally go to get immunology shots for them. I've been getting them for years and it's really helped, but they're still bad. How does that look? I just thought that that cool leaning tone of a lippy would go well with the eye look. Okay, that's gonna have to be the look, y'all. I'm gonna run now, but I think I used everything or mentioned it at least. That Westman Atelier concealer is still a mystery. It's somewhere around here. My vanity's a mess though, so I think it ended up turning out okay. What y'all think? Let's see if 2025 will bring more red lippies. Help encourage me, y'all. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the kind compliments and for just showing up and watching this. I really truly appreciate every single one of you and everybody that comments. I always will respond and read your comments that you leave me, and I will link everything in the description box after church, I promise. Okay, well, I love you all. I have to run. This was so much fun. Bye everyone. I hope you have an amazing rest of your Sunday and happy weekend. Happy holidays as well. Love you. Bye.